Hi kiddos, today is lesson 12 and it is fractions as division. So what I want you to know right off the bat, and let me get my comment tool, get this going, is that when we have a fraction, and let's say it's 3 over 5, this line right here means to divide. So what this is basically saying is 3 divided by 5. And when we write that as a problem, we write 3 divided by 5. And the first thing that you notice is, oh no, we can't do that. But remember that we have an invisible decimal and it sits right here. And if I put that decimal there, then I can add this placeholder 0, and now I can divide 5 into 30. Now, what I've noticed on some of your papers is that we're not lining up numbers. So ask yourself, how many groups of 5 can I get out of 3? The answer is 0, so make sure that you put your place value 0 in there. My decimal automatically gets moved up. So I've already looked at the 3 and I said 0. So now I'm going to add in another number in that it's a 0, so it's going to be 30. How many times can I make groups of 5 out of 30? Well, multiplication, friendly numbers, tell me that 5 times something is going to be 30. And the answer is 6. So the answer is 6/10. So I can write 6/10 as a decimal, 6/10, or I can write it as a fraction, 6/10, or if I wanted to write it as a percent, I would need to change that 10 to 100, which means I multiplied by 10. I could do the same up here, and I could say it would be 60%. So those are the way that all numbers work when we're doing dividing. So now that we're ready to look at our problems down here, it says that you know that division is used for equal sharing. Things have to be shared equally. If I have 5 cookies and I'm going to share it with 17 friends, everybody needs the same part, or somebody's going to yell, "It ain't fair, it ain't fair." So we always want to do equal sharing. And fractions represent a number of equal parts. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to use division and fractions and how they're related. So let's take a look at the problem. Mrs. Tatum needs to share 4 fluid ounces of paint among 5 art students. So really, the division problem I'm setting up is 4 ounces divided by 5. That's the division problem that I'm setting up, but we have to understand a little bit deeper. Excuse me. So what we've done is we've thought, okay, here's 1 ounce, here's 2 ounces, 3 ounces. So I've got 4 ounces. Here's my 1, my 2, my 3, and my 4. So I'm going to take this first ounce and I'm going to put it over there. And I'm going to divide it into 5 sections because everybody gets a little bit. And I'm going to take my second one and it's going to be over here and it's going to also get divided into 5 because I've got 5 people that need to paint. And my third one goes here and my fourth one goes here. So I'm really doing 4 ounces. That's what I had all together. And I need to divide it by 5. So if I were to take all of that stuff off, I'm looking for my undo button. You know what I'm just going to do? Delete. Oh, there we go. So now we go down here and we're going to look at this and it says start with 1 ounce of paint, which is what we did right here. There's 1 ounce of paint and we're going to divide it into 5s. So each student is going to get 1/5. Do you see what we did? There's that first ounce right there. And I moved it right here, 1 ounce. I'm dividing it by 5. So everybody's getting 1/5 of that 1 ounce. Now that's not our answer because I still have all of this up here to do. That was my first ounce. Here's my second ounce, here's my third ounce, and here's my fourth ounce. So we're just working our way through the problem. 1 ounce of paint shared equally among 5 students means you get 1/5. Now, look at this model and write a multiplication expression. Well, if the first ounce down here, this first ounce, I get 1/5, And then the second ounce, I get a fifth, because that's right there. The third ounce, I get a fifth. And the fourth ounce, I get a fifth. Aren't I going to be doing 1/5 times 4? Okay, 1/5 times 4. Well, anytime we have a whole number, that number goes over a 1 when we are multiplying. So I'm going to rewrite the fraction 1/5 times 4/1. And when I actually do that, on multiplication, you don't have to find a common denominator. Yay, 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 yay. That makes it easier. We just go straight across. 1 times 4 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5. So the answer, what fraction is represented? Right there's your answer, 4/5. So you're going to get 4/5. Okay, so 4 ounces of paint divided by 5 students equals 4/5 of an ounce of paint per student. Okay, so now we have to find out more. We have to look at it in a little bit deeper way. So if you're confused, stop the video, go back, watch that section again. What if Mrs. Tatum wants to share 8 ounces of paint with 5 students? Well, again, in my head, I think, okay, now we have 8 and we're going to share it by 5. Well, I know that 5 goes into 8, so everybody's at least going to get 1 total ounce. Okay, and that's what it's going to show us right down here, but it's going to show us in a couple of different ways. Each student will get 1/5 of paint if 1 ounce of paint. So because we have 5 students, that's why this is divided into 5, 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 and then we have 8 ounces that we're sharing. So when I look at that, again, I'm doing this. Now, let me slow down and think. If I'm getting 1/5 here and 1/5 here, and I'm getting a fifth here and a fifth here and a fifth here. If I took just this section right there, now I have 5 out of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means I have 1 big full ounce. And then I still have 1, 2, 3. 3/5. So each student's going to get 1 3/5. So now again, let me clear my board. Delete. Okay. And let's look down here. 8 ounces divided by 5. So is writing it as a fraction, 8 divided by 5. Or I can write 8 divided by 5. Those two things are the same thing because fraction really means division. So 8 divided by 5. So when I do this, 5 goes into 8 one time. Where's my invisible decimal? It's sitting right here. And I'm going to raise it right up here. So if I'm going to get one group of 5, 1 times 5, I'm going to subtract the 5. I'm going to have 3 left. And then I'm going to make that invisible 0. Bring it down here. Whoop! That's because I'm right too close to the edge. It's going to be 1.6. Because 6 is going to go in there. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. So the other way, right here, it says another way to think about this. Think 8 ounces as 5 ounces and 3 ounces. So if I had a bottle of paint with 5 ounces and a bottle with 3 and we had 5 students, I know that I'm going to get 1 whole ounce and I'm going to get 3/5. So that's another way to think about it. So now, that's how division and fractions are related. So we get down here and it says, hey, let's do the same thing. Let's think of a way that we could write a word problem 2/5. So it's going to be basically, well, let me get my pencil back. What we're basically trying to do is do 2 divided by 5. Because that's what this means right here. 2 divided by 5. But it says, can you use the situation in sharing? So what it wants you to do is rewrite it. So what if we said, there are 5 students and each student gets 2 ounces of paint. So that's how we paint. That's how we could rewrite that. We could say 5 students divided by 2 ounces of paint, and then we could draw that out. Okay, now it's time to do your practice, and I want you to do I think there's 5 questions. I want you to do all 5 questions today. Those will be due tomorrow.